I want to get it done. I want to get it over with, and I want to know where I stand. Should I expect some of those tenants to move? Should I be prepared for it? Should I factor that into the numbers when I'm figuring out how I'm going to turn this thing around? Yes. And at the same time, should I also be working on this project so the tenants believe that this stuff is really going to happen? Yeah. Man, if you just go take a little calculator out, now that you know what NOI stands for, and now you know how cap rate is figured out, you do know all this, right? Yeah. All right. I'll find out in a little bit. You go figure out what you do to a 200-unit apartment complex just raising the rent $25 a month. And you will like the numbers. In fact, what do we do to it? 200 units times 25 is how much a month? $5,000. $5,000 a month.
Yep.
How much did we just increase the value of that property on a 10 cap? How much? No, we raised the rents by $5,000 a month.
$60,000.
That's $60,000 a year. 10 cap is what? $600,000. We just raised the value of a project by sending 200 letters out to tenants, of which we didn't even have to pay postage on. We stuff them in their mailbox. Just like that. Boom. Across the board. And frankly, a $25 rent increase is not a big deal, especially if they're grossly under-rented. Now what do we do if we raise them $50 a month? We just raised the value, $1.2 million with a stroke of a pen, guys. And of course, some of them are going to move, aren't they? $50 a month, that's a lot of money. Yeah. Yeah, it's about $50 less than it's going to cost you if you go down the street and rent their apartment. Or $50 more than it's going to cost you, whatever. It sure ain't worth the move. Next, add stuff to get more money out of them. If I own an apartment project, I'm going to find a place to put a bunch of vending machines. It's not a lot of money, but it's easy money. You plug them in and you don't do anything. And you get a percentage of the gross. Now you think about it, 200, 300, 400 unit apartment complex. That's a lot of money. Put a Coke machine in there. Put a cracker machine in there. Put whatever machines the vending companies want to bring. You don't buy them. They bring them in there and they set them there and they give you a piece of the action. They maintain them. They fill them. You just forget about them. Put a crack machine in there. You make a killing on that one. Till they get you. Huh? You may consider renting the appliances, not automatically furnishing them. Big apartment complex, much harder to do than in smaller units, but it's an option you may consider. Of course, you're going to do property improvements to increase the total overall value of it, which will help you raise the rent. Security is one thing you want to seriously consider in any units you buy, like apartments. Have the tenants pay more utilities. If I am collecting water on their rent bill, in fact, how can I have them pay more utilities without even mentioning the word utilities? Just raise the rents to cover the utilities. And of course, you're always going to look at your expenses, aren't you? What is on this list that I can reduce? Can I get cheaper insurance? Can I get my property taxes lowered? Can I get the people that have been scalping the previous owner on services they provide to reduce these services or replace them with other vendors? All of the above. Are there way too many people maintaining this project? Are they sitting on their butt 50% of the day and been getting away with it, so that's become the norm? How many hours are they really working a day? Does it really take 3 people to mow the lawns and keep this property maintained? Or do I have 3 people working 50% of the time? Could 2 people do the same thing? Could I get rid of one of these people? If I knock $40,000 worth of payroll off of my expenses, what does that do to my net operating income? It raises it $40,000. What does that do to my cap rate? Just raise the property value $400,000 by whacking somebody. Fill up the units. A little marketing knowledge there will help you get a lot more aggressive than most apartment owners I've ever seen. Most of them are lazy. They stick a sign out front and expect the herds to come. They run a little ad in the paper. In fact, when you look at an apartment project's expense statements, one of the first things I look at is their advertising cost. And it's almost always low, which is why they got vacancies. They don't do anything to get the thing rented, except stick a sign out and maybe run a classified ad. Man, if I got a property with 20% vacancy, you can rest assured there's going to be a weekend when we're going to have a circus over there. I got a carnival background. We're going to have Barnum and Bailey. It's going to look like the circus is coming. We're going to draw a lot of attention to this project. We're going to have flags all over the place. We're going to put out some money to get advertisement. We're going to have all kinds of cool things. I don't know what, contests, prizes. We're going to drive people to this apartment complex on one great big focused effort and get this thing done in one weekend and get it over with. In other words, we're going to do a little bit of marketing. We're going to give away concessions that we have to give away to make it happen and get it done quick, instead of dragging it out month after month after month, trying to fill one teensy-weensy little unit at a time, because we don't have a clue about marketing. Marketing is cheap compared to vacancy. In fact, I want to create a waiting list. I want to make it such a nice, fun, neat place to live that people are waiting to get in. Not you're waiting for them to come to you. And also, is there any land that I can build more units on? Ooh, what would that do to the value of the property? Through the roof. Can you get more rents out of the tenants than the previous landlord? In other words, there is not a project on earth that the manager isn't stealing money from. Just so you know. It's not whether they're stealing, it's how much are they stealing. Find out how much they're stealing. By the way, if a property manager won't take a lie detector test, what does that tell you? Not kidding. What does it tell you? Stealing them blind. So here's what I tell them. I say, look, I like you, and I think you can do the job. Well, you and I both know you've been robbing the place blind. Now the real question is, are you going to continue to rob it blind if you work for me? And are you going to fess up that you've been robbing it blind? So, will you take a lie detector test for us to make sure that we're both clear that you've been robbing it blind? And when you flunk it, can you agree right now that you won't rob me blind, knowing that I'm going to put you back on the lie detector every quarter? It's called a meeting of the minds.
Have you actually done that right?
Yeah, I have. Yeah. Win some, lose some. I haven't been stealing money. Of course, you stick another manager in there and up goes the income immediately. No, of course not. It is so easy to steal money from an apartment complex, it's pathetic. It is so easy. You know how they do it? People come in and they pay in cash, and now they list that as a vacant unit. Rob you blind. Unless you're there and you inspect every single unit, you wouldn't know it. So, property management is something that you're going to have to go to another seminar on and learn from people who understand it before you go try to manage your own units, which you shouldn't do anyway. But even when you're hiring professional managers, you got to keep your thumb right on that thing. You want to account. Somebody needs to be looking into all of these numbers and doing a site inspection just to verify that the so-called vacant units are vacant. The minute you walk into an apartment complex and do a spot check to find out the vacant units aren't vacant and there's no money being reported, you got a thief running the place. And you would be extremely lucky if you didn't have a thief running the place. It's too big of a temptation. You got somebody here running this thing working for $40,000 a year and they see all these money go through there. I mean, it's tough not to stick your fingers in the till sooner or later. Yeah, I would. We understand each other now, don't we? Because guess what? You ain't going to hire a manager that won't steal. So what's your choices? At least this one knows the units. The conversation that I just had, that's real close to the conversation I'd have with them. I'm not kidding. Look, I know that 100% of the money didn't go into the till, and you know it too, don't you? Okay. However, if we choose to do business together in the future, can we come to the agreement that, look, I'll take care of you, but I expect 100% and 100% counting, and you know I'm going to watch you, and I'm going to test you, and I'm going to put you on a lie detector. Do you want to work for us under those conditions? All people need to know is that you're watching them. Because we truly have a meeting of the minds here. They know I'm going to watch them, and I am going to watch them, and they know, I know, they stole their last guy blind. Trailer parks. Oh, my God, is that a recipe for theft if I ever seen one? Oh, man. Especially the ones that would do weekly rentals. The first policy that I'd have in an apartment complex is there will be no money accepted in cash. It cuts down the chances of a burglary, and I'd big signs up. No cash accepted. Right on when they check into the place when they rent them. No cash accepted. You bring me money order or check. Or better yet, I will automatically deduct it from your bank account. Or if you want, you can give me a credit card. We'll charge it too. Or all the above. But do not bring cash to this office. That's part of the deal. That makes it a lot harder for the manager to steal. Of course, if the manager wants to steal, are they going to steal? You can't stop them. You can only watch them. And I'm telling you, a manager who does not want to take a lie detector test ain't working on my project. Well, now, can you use that in court? No. But I ain't worried about that. They ain't going to live long enough to get to court. And, of course, you can always just sit around and wait for the values to go up, can't you? Well, that's not exactly my favorite plan. Vacant land. How do we increase the value of vacant land? Well, that's easy. You all know the answer to that. You change the use by either changing the zoning or getting it replatted or having lots drawn up or all that stuff. Once you get that a plat map approved by the city, you just had a bonanza. Once that stamp comes down and they say, yep, you can now sell off lots, you've done the work that all developers don't want to do and instantly increase the value. Of course, you can build on this land. That certainly increases the value of it. Plant trees on it? Yeah, maybe. Or just wait. Okay. I think we got just about enough time for Kirk and Rick to come up. And let's talk about the rules of engagement if we can. Okay, you guys want to know, well, what's the deal with partnerships? What do we do? What we don't want to do? What should we submit? How should we submit it? And should we submit it? So we'll cover those. And I want you to meet some players here. Here's how this system works. Now, some of you have been trained to submit leads to Ray Rock. I've removed that function from Ray Rock. He still takes single-family, high-end house leads, but if commercial leads come to him, it's because you've been around a while and you're using the numbers we gave you way back in last year sometime. Ray Rock no longer accepts those leads. Some of you wondering how Ray Rock is. Well, he's okay. He's doing all right. Can't say he's doing well, but he's doing okay. He's still working. He's still getting around. Now, Ray's not going to handle these commercial leads. When they come to him, he just drops them right down at Tish's desk, and they get to Rick. Rick is the pre-screener. Rick is the front-end guy. All the leads go through Rick, which means do not send any leads directly to Kirk. Do not send any leads directly to Rock Johnson, not Ray Rock. In fact, don't even send any leads to Ray Rock as well. They all come to my office. In fact, let's give them a couple of fax numbers right now, Rick. You can use Tish's fax number where she gets them direct, and then she turns them over to Rick. And that is 904-421-0181. 904-421-0181. That goes right into Tish's office, which is right next door to me. And Rick, you got another fax number?
No. I don't want them faxing deals directly to me because that way they don't get cataloged in, they don't get into the system. So everything goes to that fax number until I contact you and request additional information.
Very good. That fax machine is set up to rotate to my fax machine, so if that one's busy. Here's how it works. Tish takes the stuff. Tish puts it on a spreadsheet with the pertinent facts. Person's name, property description, a little city, state, yada, yada, yada. so that we can keep track of the flow in. And then she turns them over to Rick, who will be on the phone with you to acknowledge, well, here we've got it, tell me what you know about it, yada, yada, yada. And then if Rick needs to, he'll get on the phone with the broker or the owner if he needs to. He may choose just to distribute immediately, or we may choose. If we've got enough information, Rick and I will get together and I will tell him who to send that package to. One of which is Kirk. Kirk is one of our project managers who's out in the field being North America, following up on the projects, negotiating the deal, putting them under contract with the assistance of the student, and then carrying them all the way through to their end conclusion. Kirk is the one that worked with Dale to get the contract on the Detroit building. Kirk will be working with Dale to get the contract on the other Detroit building. And Kirk will also be working with Dale to get the contract on this apartment complex. In fact, I kind of like it when I have a project manager working with a student. I'm likely going to keep those two together if they like each other. And I've had cases where that has not been the case up to this point. I've got Barney Zick working on a few deals as well. I'm not sending them to Rock right now. He is catching up with the stuff that he's got. At his request, I've cut him off. I am going to have to add another project manager or two soon to handle the flow. And of course, I'm always looking for well-qualified, motivated people who want to take these projects, who are qualified to get them negotiated, get them under contract, and carry them to their end result. So the flow goes like this. Lead comes in, which a bunch of them come in right here, of course. They come into Rick. Rick, if it's a worthless piece of crap right from the get-go, we get rid of it immediately. We just tell the student, you don't get it. And here's why you don't get it. In fact, Rick sends out a rejection letter. On the rejection letter, he states the reason why we're not interested in the project. I tell Rick I want these people contacted within 24 hours. Of course, his excuse is, well, I can't reach them. They won't won't call me back. That's his story anyway. All right. But he's charged with contacting you within 48 hours after us receiving the lead. So if you send it up to Ray Rock first, and then it sits on his desk for a day or two before it gets down to Tish, and then sits on her desk for half a day or whatever until she gets it to Rick, we're already 2 or 3 days in the hole. By sending it directly into Tish, you're going to get Rick to call you a lot quicker. So the first step is you get it to us on the forms we provided. It goes to Tish. She logs it. She hands it to Rick. Rick makes contact, if necessary, makes contact with seller, broker, whatever, and or immediately turns it over to project manager. Since Kirk is up here, we'll call it Kirk. Kirk then gets on the phone with student. Kirk then starts the negotiating process or carries it forward. And again, we don't want any projects where the student has not had contact with the broker or the owner or both. Don't even send them to us if you haven't done your homework first. It is not our job to go collect information that you should have collected from the get-go. It's only our job to follow up and get it under contract and get it bought and get it sold or whatever. So let's make real clear right now. You do that. And if you don't have the blanks filled in on the forms when you send us, if it doesn't have anything beside where it says asking price, it's a dead deal until you get the answers. We're not going to do the answers. You get the answers. If you can't ask the seller or the broker what they want for the property, we probably can't work together. Are we clear?
Yep.
Good. We're not babysitters. Now you want to know how I really feel, right? Okay, so project comes in. Let's say Kirk gets it in his hands. And he's going to have quite a few when he leaves here, isn't he?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. There's a reason I chose Kirk, just for the record. Among other reasons. I trust him to get the job done. I trust him to get it done quickly. And I trust him to get it done the best that he can possibly get it done. And I trust him to tell me the truth all the way along the line. You think I made the right choice based on what you know him so far?
Yes, right.
Okay, good. That was a compliment.
Thanks,
All right.
sir.
You ain't getting. That's all you're getting.
Take what you can get.
Now, Kirk's going to get a piece of every one of the deals that we are successful in. That's all he gets. He don't get any check every week. He gets a piece of the deals. And then, as soon as I turn it over to Kirk, I forget about it. Until Kirk calls me and says, here's where we're at. And then we get it under contract if we can, and then we take it from there. Now, you as the student, this means that you as a student is not a 50% partner. Because if you're a 50% partner, you're doing what Kirk's doing. It means that I have enough faith in you to go get done what I'm asking Kirk to do in your place. That make any sense to you? Okay, Kirk, I'm only going to send the deal to Kirk if I don't think the student is going to get it where we need to get it because they don't have enough experience or they're not qualified. And frankly, that's the majority of you, just for the record. You know, I mean, let's be real here. It takes a certain amount of skill to get on the phone with these highfalutin commercial sellers and negotiate these things without destroying it because you sound like an idiot and don't know what to say, and then get them to the point to where you come to a conclusion and get the letter of intent put forth, and then get it to a contract state, and then worse after that, get after it's bought, get it to a conclusion. You know, that's not something for somebody brand new into the world of commercial property with absolutely no experience whatsoever can do. So that probably brings us to how you get paid. Well, it's really simple. In the minority of the cases where you are qualified to be that back-end partner and take it to a conclusion, and I'm not required to put up any money or sign on guarantee any notes, and you can do everything that Kirk can do, then you can be a 50-50 partner. I mean, why? Hey, I'm not writing a check and I'm not guaranteeing a note. I'm happy to split it with you because you just removed all the risk off of me. So what do you need me for? Right? Because that's the obvious question, isn't it? Well, hey, if you don't know the answer to that question, don't send in the deal. If you can do it on your own, you don't need me. But I will tell you this. I've seen very few people who will do the deal the way it'll come out with me involved rather than without me involved. You need me for a lot of things. One thing, to get the deal structured right to begin with. Because without me, most people are going to screw that up. You need me because of what I know and the experience that I have and the things that are in the back of my head that are not in any other head that I know of. You need me to jump in there when we need to create some credibility to the deal. You need me to fly in on my jet to impress the seller. That's what you need me for. And does that have a giant impact on the deal? David, Nathan, does that have a giant impact on the deal? Huh? Anyway, if you think you need me, fine. If you don't think you need me, that's okay too. All right, now let's say you're capable of getting all the back end work done yourself, and I feel like I agree with you, which for many people I do. I really do. For example, there's two of them right back there, as big as smart asses as they are. I know that they can go get that job done, and they're not experts. I don't need them to be experts. You know why I know they can go get it done? Because they got a broker on our team in the area that's literally going to get it done. All of it for us, and they're going to ride herd on that broker, so I'm not worried about that deal. And believe me, they're not experts. They're new to the game as well, but we have somebody on the dream team that is an expert. So Kirk ain't going to be involved in that deal. Rick won't be involved in that deal. There's no need. They got it covered. In that case, they're getting 25% of the deal. Because I got to put up the $100,000. I got to go get the money. And now I'm in this deal up to my eyeballs with liability and responsibility. In the process of them getting that 25%, which in their case is going to be several $1 million. Don't sell it short, you know. They're going to learn a lot. And sooner or later, they're not going to need me anymore. And we're going to get a divorce. Is that okay with me? Yeah, I'd rather be later than sooner, but it's okay with me. Is it okay with them? In fact, is that the reason they're coming into the game to begin with? Yeah, you're all coming into the game so you can sooner or later run the game, not just be a part of the game. Now, just for the record, any project that I share with you, I will be controlling voting interest, regardless of what the percentage of split is. That is non-negotiable. Don't even think about trying to get me to relinquish that. I will be involved in no project at any time for the rest of my life that I don't have voting control over. It took me 7 years to learn that lesson, Phyllis. I learned it well. It ain't never going to happen again. That means that I am the final say on all the projects. And if that keeps you awake at night, I'm not the guy you want to work with. It's probably a good thing that I am the final say for your benefit as well. But if you don't feel that way, then that's okay with me. I'm probably going to get through life with or without the project that you have in mind. And in fact, I'll tell you, some of the projects that I'm in right now, it's a darn good thing I was the final say. Because some of the things that might have taken place without that, without me being there to check them, would have been disastrous, in my opinion. If you're not capable, feel like it, or live anywhere near the project, and cannot handle the back-end progression of things that are required to get the project done, then you won't be a partner at all. You'll get a finder's fee. This is the worst case scenario, that you'll get a finder's fee. And, I mean, let's be honest about this. You bring me a project in Phoenix and you live in Baltimore. Do you honestly think that you're going to be able to give focus to a project all across the country that requires weekly, if not daily, participation in of some sort and convince me that we got this thing under control? Well, it's going to be a hard sale. So, no big deal. You and I just agree upon how you're going to get paid and when you're going to get paid. The minimal finder's fee I pay is $50,000. And frankly, that's a pathetic finder's fee. I'd rather pay a lot more than that. And there's no way to put a formula on that, so it's case by case. And it works like this. You bring in deal. When we get to the point to where we know we got a deal, and we get some facts in place so we can figure out what we think that deal is worth, then we agree upon a finder's fee. We agree upon some kind of a split. By the way, that doesn't necessarily mean that I won't make you some kind of a percentage of a partner. But it does mean that we got to agree on it. Now, and we're going to agree on it before I start writing checks. Because when I start writing checks, I'm in then. I'm hooked. If we don't agree on it, that's okay too. All that means is it's your deal. You can do whatever you want to do with it. What you can rest assured of is, and I ain't going behind anybody's back to steal a deal. I don't, like I need another deal. Life or death situation here. I don't really care how big it is. I'm not going to do that. A, I wouldn't do it to you. B, I wouldn't want you going around telling everybody else I did it to you. So it's your choice. It's your deal. You bring it to the table, it's your deal. Now, I will tell you that some of the offers that we're going to make are going to be in my company's name. But, hey, if we can't come to terms on a finder's fee, that's okay. I'll assign you the stupid contract. Of course, by the time we get a contract, what else is involved? Earnest money deposit. So we're at the point of no return there. So we got to have these discussions prior to that point. Dale's case here. Can I use you? We got 2 projects working. Problem is, Dale lives in southern Michigan. Projects are in northern Michigan. And I'm relying on the realtor up there. So I gave Dale a percentage of the projects, but it wasn't 25%. Plus, I'm giving him some money up front. Best of both worlds. He'll do very well with those projects. But he's not a 50% partner. He's not a 25% partner. But he's close. So we just compromised. On the other hand, from this point on, Dale's got nothing to do. I'm not going to call Dale ever to ask him what's going on up in northern Michigan. Because he's not the guy who's getting the job done. The realtor up there is getting the job done. In the case of the property in Florida, these guys live not right down the street from it, and I am going to be calling on them to get stuff done. I'm not going to be calling that broker. I'm going to let them talk to that broker. Does that make any sense to you guys? And in the case of the broker Dale brought me, geez, her and I are, we talk every day almost. You had no idea how many conversations I've had with Lee. Every day we talk, almost, practically. So, does that answer the payment structure? All right. The flow structure. Have I missed anything? By the way, Rick will be following up on some of these deals, especially if they're in the southeastern region of the United States. Rick is a pre-screener up front, but he's also a combination project manager. If he can just remember to buy batteries. Now, I'm paying Rick a weekly wage in addition to a percentage of the properties that he works on, because it's a lot of work to do what he does, and I have put a huge burden on him, and I'll be glad to admit it,
very weakly,
just so he can hear it. I'm also constantly looking for his replacement. Now, Rick, just for the heck of it, about how many properties would you say come into our system that you have to deal with on a weekly basis on the average? Realistically now, don't get crazy here.
As it stands right now, we are dealing somewhere between 15 to 20 properties per week.
Okay. Can you imagine how much work it is to take 15 or 20 properties, try to contact 15 to 20 students, and then try to get on the phone with 15 to 20 brokers and or sellers at least once, phone tag, back and forth, to get to a conclusion. And then, of course, the mindset that has to be there to try to figure out what kind of information you want from them when you're contacting them, because you're trying to see the deal and how we're going to structure it. Now, Rick and I get together on probably once or twice a weekly basis, depending on the need, and we talk about these projects. And I trust him to weed out the garbage ahead of time and send the rejection letter, and the ones that look like they're going to fly, we talk about. In fact, we did that on the way here. We went through a stack about that deep, and 6 or 8 of the 8, I don't know how many of those survived, but there's a bunch of good-looking deals right there in that stack. And the rest of them, they don't qualify. So it is a pretty good job he's got. Now, of course, his job is going to get worse with the burden you guys are going to drop on us, which we're happy to have, aren't we, Rick?
Absolutely.
Happy to have. Some of these deals in here we can't wait to get at.
As a matter of fact, Ron, I think the job is going to get easier because at least this bunch here gets it.
Yeah.
They understand
Some
what,
of them.
what.
I'll know if they get it after I get the test results in. Yeah. Okay. But he's right, isn't he? So you guys are now the sharpest commercial minds in our system. We expect you guys to send kick-butt deals in and a lot less of the crap, no doubt about it. And I will tell you, when I taped that one-day seminar in December that's on those 4 CDs you got, man, that had a huge impact on weeding out the absolute garbage. From that point on, when I started putting those tapes out, people started sending us better and better and better and better stuff. But still, people have a hard time recognizing that we don't pay retail price for property, and of course that's probably a lot to do with the fact that they have a hard time figuring out what that is, which I understand. So Look, we're not telling you that you have to have every answer and all, and we're not telling you not to send us stuff. If it smells like a good deal to you, send it. But if they're asking retail price for it and it's obvious, don't send it. And that's what you got us for to begin with. Anything else you want to add?
I want to make sure that you understand there are several key items that make my life a lot easier when I'm taking a look at these sheets, and there's several things that I have absolutely no need for until I ask them.
Let's go down that list, Rick, because you got it and I don't.
Okay. One of the first things that's most important, your name. If you send a sheet in without a name on it, it's very difficult for me to get back in touch with you. Same thing for a phone number.
And we don't care what your company name is. We're not impressed. We want to know the human being we're dealing with. And the first thing we do, just so you'll know, is we check to see if you are in fact a boot camp grad. And we can spot you instantly. And we do check. That Tish has a girl who checks. She pulls up our database, and if you're not a boot camp grad, your deal is dead from the get-go. And believe me, we get quite a few that have not been to a boot camp. Go ahead.
Okay. Telephone, alternate telephone, and fax are very critical.
Folks, we're going to do a lot of business by fax. The internet and email did not kill the use of fax. And in fact, for obvious reasons, when you get a contract signed, for example, are you going to download all that thing on the computer before you email it to us? No, you're not. You're going to stick it in the fax machine. When we're going back and forth with LOIs, you're going to do a huge amount of business by fax. Get a dedicated fax number and get it over with. That means a fax number that's not tied into any kind of interference whatsoever, and that is available 24 hours a day. And when Rick punches up your number, all he wants to hear is beep. Nothing else. He don't want to hear your 30-minute voicemail with no instructions on how to fax you stuff like we're supposed to know this. We didn't know all we had to do was press the green button. Nobody said that on this voicemail. We didn't know we had to wait till the talk was over before we pressed the green button. We want to hear beep. Then we know to press the green button, don't we? Even Rick knows that's the time to press the green button.
Actually, my fax machine has an automatic send key, so I just stick it in there and I walk out of the room. And if you tell the fax machine what to do, it can't hear you. So, I mean, once it hears a beep, it sends a beep, and then the paper starts going through. So if you got to press 3 to send a fax, it ain't happening, guys.
Kirk, you having trouble with communications with people yet?
I'd like to make sure that we've got the very best phone numbers to get a hold of somebody at, where we can call you and get a hold of you, because when I get to the point I'm working on a deal and I need to talk to you, I just need to be able to talk to you.
Yeah, and can you imagine how busy we are? And, you know, you drop 5 notches when we got to bust our butt to try to run you down. By the way, put your cell phone number on these things and make sure it's identified as a cell phone number.
Your primary number, the best one to get you with, should be in the first slot. And then any other numbers, whether it be your mama's house or wherever you happen to be staying, you can put that in too. But go ahead and give us the best number that you've got in the first blank.
All right, move on.
Okay, seller's name or realtor's name, only if you want us to get in touch and try to negotiate something. If you don't want us to try to negotiate, you can leave that blank. Market value.
Well, wait a minute now. We ain't doing a deal where we don't call a seller or the realtor, whichever's applicable.
Excuse me, I was being
you might as well
somewhat
stick it in
facetious.
there. You know what it tells me? If you don't want to stick it in there, you think we're going to steal a deal from you. And if you think that, don't send it to begin with.
Absolutely.
Then we don't have to worry about it.
I've got to be able to speak to someone other than you to confirm the suspicions that we've got, to confirm values, and to try to get a meeting in the mind so we can get something under contract.
Okay.
The next is the market value. Please don't send anything with question marks for market value. I don't care what they're asking if I don't know what the market value is. as plain as
Well,
that.
now, all right, let's identify that. What market value are we looking for? Exactly. Not if it's land, I want to know what land is selling for before we convert it.
Right.
Not after, before. I want to know what the land's worth. If it's an apartment building, you should have the NOI on it presented to you from the seller. At least tell us what the NOI is. Give us a clue what the market value is. Because now we got to get on the phone. Well, what do you think this land is worth? Well, I don't know. Well, we'll just make up something. Okay. What do you think, how many lots? What's the best use of this land? Give us a hint on why you're even sending this project in. Don't make us work so hard. Remember what I told you that the banker said about my credit line the other day? Why they liked it? He could read it and look at it and get the answers without having to do so much work. Don't make us do so much work. And if you want to attach a page or two to explain it, by the way, explain it simply, concisely, like a reptile brain's looking at it, please do so. But don't send us 30 pages of anything.
An executive summary is all we're looking for. Please don't send photographs by fax. Please don't send topographical maps by fax because the little lines just don't show up. Please don't take out of a binder and send these big, thick prospectuses or things like that by fax, because when my fax machine runs out of the ream of paper in there, I may or may not be around to get the rest of it. So let's be a little bit judicious with the faxes unless I speak to you and tell you to send additional information, and then I'm waiting for it. The asking price, if it's raw land, the number of acres, if it's a building, the number of square feet, as well as any additional acres that might be there. Seller's motivation is critical if you can possibly get it, because I'm going to try to get it to find out why in the world they're trying to sell the property.
Don't send us anything without an asking price.
Right. An asking price.
You need to find the asking price before you send it to us. And I can't imagine why people find that so hard. You're either talking to a broker or you're talking to the owner. Either way, they know what they want. And if they don't know what they want, don't send it to us. Because we're not going to mess with something where the owner won't even tell us what they're asking.
Kurt just made a very valid point. Guys, we just need you to send the forms in with virtually every blank on there filled out. If we find out that there's a blank that we really don't need in the future, we'll take it off. But until that point, assume that every bit of information that's on here is pertinent. So if you don't have the time or can't take the time to find out the answers, you can send it in, and while you're waiting on us to get back, look for the answers to it, and that way when I call and get back in touch with you, you'll have the answers. But please try very diligently to have as much information filled out as we're asking for on here.
No. You have forms for every type of property there is. There's some books right back there if you don't have them.
For every type of property that we're looking for. There is a single-family home, but there's also, which goes to Ray, but there's also raw land, apartments, shopping centers, office spaces, mobile home parks throughout the.
And incidentally, when you send one on land, would you make a note, because it's not on there, to tell me what the price per acre is? Just in other words, you do the math?
It is. It's on here.
Is it? Okay.
Cost per acre.
All right. What else? Quick, we got to move on.
I mean, in essence, just send it to us, and I will do my absolute best to get back in touch with you within the 24 to 48 hour time frame, keeping in mind that I do have a travel schedule going out to the boot camps. When we get a lead, when you send in a sheet, I will get back in touch with you. I will give you my cell phone and my fax machine and my email address. I do use email. I know how that operates. And I check that several times a day. So that.
Too bad you don't know how a camera operates.
So there are some things. I mean, I don't have a problem in asking you if you've got some digital photos, since you may know how a camera operates, to send me some digital photographs of the property. Not up front, but as we're getting closer and closer.
And we
to
will
getting the deal.
require those. They're going to be required if we get to the point to where we think we're moving forward.
So, but my point is, if you call me after you've submitted a lead, you've gotten the phone numbers and what have you. If you call me and I do not pick up the phone immediately, don't assume that I'm avoiding you. You may assume that I might possibly be at an event helping other people outside the room or doing something along those lines. Yeah, the battery on the phone is always good. I always keep that going. But I will leave me a voicemail message, and I promise you, I do return the voicemail messages as well. So I'm going to do everything I can to be a very rapid response to your inquiries. When we finish our conversation, I will give you a commitment on when I anticipate getting back to you. Please don't think that if you bother me several times during the course of the day that that's going to get your lead brought up to the top of the list faster. It actually will probably have the opposite effect to it because I like to work with people who work with me and not try to pressure me into doing things. If there is a legitimate time constraint that we're working with, you can relate that to me, and I'll do everything in my human power to make certain that we get that accomplished prior to then.
A couple more things back here. You know, there's a page in your book where we deal with this, and I forgot to point out to you. It's right after your causes of failure in the back of your book, 125 or whatever. Short fuse deals. Let me address that, guys. I mean, what would you expect us to do if you bring us a deal that's going to the auction block in 2 days? And the answer is nothing. I don't even want to know the facts. I don't care if Las Vegas is being given away for almost free. Nobody. I'm not going to buy any deal. I'm not going to write a check for a nickel if I can't get time to get some facts first. And 2 days is just too short a fuse to do anything in, if there's any risk involved whatsoever. So, hey, it's too late. It's just too late. I think we've covered pretty much everything else we need to talk about. Does anybody have any couple of questions? If you do, you want to get to the mics because we got to get moving here. Yes? Oh, Barney, where are you? Just get in
Barney,
here.
good to see
Get up here, man. I didn't know you were here. This is Barney Zick. Barney's been around since time began.
Moses and I did our first condo deal together.
Sit down there.
On the short-term deals, you have the wrong seller. The person that you're talking to is an interim owner. Now, if they have 2 days left, you're talking to the wrong seller. If it's really a good deal, there's very good odds that, like it's going to an auction, that the lender is going to bid it in, so that becomes your seller. Or it may be that somebody that is on an interim hold is going to bid it in. So if you think it's a super deal and it has 2 days the way it is now, find out who the next owner is going to be and follow up with it, because you might have a deal with the next owner.
Yeah, it's not a dead deal. It's just that we're not going to make it happen in 2 days.
It's dead for that guy, but maybe not for the next owner.
In fact, it might even be a better deal after it goes through the foreclosure. Think about it. Got a clean title now. And now you got somebody that doesn't want it. All right, you got anything to add to this, Barney, now that you've arrived? Barney will also be taking some deals. It's like Kirk. Barney is a real estate strategist extraordinaire and lives in the Houston area and is very capable of following up and negotiating deals and getting them under contract and working with you, and promises to contact you immediately upon getting the paperwork and follow up with you. In fact, he's going to call you every 20 minutes just to see how you're doing.
Yeah, sure. One of the things that I've only worked through a few of the deals because Ron just got me involved with this. But one of the things that I find is you need to read those rules in the front of the book. And those are rules, and they're really not meant to be broken. Now, Ron, on your CDs, said there's an exception to every rule, and of course there is, but you don't have to make an exception to every rule. You make it tough on us. One of the things is I find a lot of people want to search the internet for cities far and beyond and come up with a deal they think is a deal, and then they give you the information that's on the internet, and they really haven't talked to anybody, they don't have any numbers, they can't go deep. One of the reasons that it's best for you to find things in your own community is that we probably have a question you haven't thought of yet, and when we call you up and say, can you find out X, if you don't live there, finding out X is going to be a big problem, because you're just going to have to do a lot of research on the internet, make a lot of phone calls, whereas if you were there, you could drive by and ask the guy across the street. So one of the reasons for the don't go fishing deals off the internet and cities far away is because it gets to be near impossible for us to make a decision without the right information.
Unless you want to go to the cities and do your homework, and some of you may very well want to do that. When in the beginning I said I will not even look at those deals like that. But I got to tell you, I've had my mind changed on that. Some of you are very capable of fishing for deals in other areas, but it comes back to this now. If you don't live in the area where the project is, there's a very slim chance you're going to be a 50% partner. So as long as we understand that, because somebody's got to be there to follow up on it. However, I'm happy to look at deals regardless of where they're located and where you're located, as long as you got the facts that we need to make those deals work. Because I can tell you, I've talked to many of you in the room right now who are very capable, very qualified, and have kick-butt projects in cities that you don't live in. But you have collected the facts and know what they are and are willing to go get the rest of them as we need them. Yes, sir?
One other thing that you bring to the deals are you have specialists that can get them done, like the people that can handle nursing homes. And the other question I had yesterday was, when we do partner with you, how are we going to structure it entity-wise?
An LLC.
All LLC?
An LLC, and you'll own your prospective share of that LLC. Every single deal is a separate LLC.
Okay.
All right, of which I have 51% voting control.
Great.
All right. Anybody else?
So we can get better at negotiating. Is it possible to be included in a phone call or something like that?
Well, I don't know about included in the call, because not the original call. That's a conference call. That's a pain in the neck, and frankly, it makes you look kind of amateurish. But you'll be included in the deal all the way through, regardless of how your structure is. In other words, that means you can tune in anytime you want and see what's going on and play as active a part as you want. But that does not mean that we're going to call you every day and tell you what's happening. If you're not a partner, that is. If you're a partner, then you're doing the details anyway, so it's an automatic thing. If you're getting a finder's fee, it doesn't. But hey, we're happy to share information with you. We understand that you want to learn from this process. That is one reason why you're doing it, isn't it? Yep. Okay, well, we get that. I get that. We're not going to shut you out of it. And if you want to call Barney and ask him what's going on, he'll take your call. But don't expect Barney to call you, because he don't have you on his mind. He has getting the deal done on his mind.
If you're not, I'd have no problem with that. If you're not, the magic question is why. So if we call you up and we say, this isn't going to work, and we don't tell you why, just ask why, and we'll tell you what the criteria are. I always tell you the why. And I don't mind if somebody said, well, it will ask me, well, how are you going to get them to say yes to that when they said no to this? I don't mind. There's no secrets here. We're in the process of teaching you as well as doing a deal. But the main thrust is to do the deal.
Okay. All right, I think we covered it, didn't we? All right, good.